And good morning, class. So, for today, we will continue with biodiversity topic 2. And for today, we'll be discussing sexual reproduction. Okay, so if it's sexual reproduction, then you have a male and a female. So, therefore, it involves two parents. Okay, it is carried out by most species of animals and flowering plants. Some animals they can produce their own offspring. I know certain crayfish can actually produce their own offspring without a male. Aphids can produce their own babies without the male. And then flowering plants have a male and female structure, and that's why they are classified as um, sexual reproduction. So offspring have a mix of characteristics from both, obviously from male and female. So the genes will be passed on to the offsprings. Contribution from each parent, so relies on the union of two gametes. So what is a gamete? A gamete is a sex cell. Okay, so sex cell, and you probably know this. Obviously, the male sex cell will be the sperm cell. The female sex cell will be the egg cell. Okay, so specialized cells that have one role only, and that is to join with another gamete from a different sex during reproduction in order to start the process. Okay, so the sexual reproduction process. So details vary between species, but the events and the process are pretty much the same. Okay, so for plants it can be different, for animals it can be different, but the procedure will still be the same. We will start with, so the process is this. So you have your gametes, meaning you have your sperm cell and you have your egg cell here. Okay, so male sperm cell, female egg cell, and they are very delicate. They dry out quickly and have a very short lifespan, so they can't survive that long. Okay, so when they meet, and so the union of those two, okay, male and female gametes, when they meet, you call it fertilization. So you will see here on this picture here, you will see a lot of sperm trying to fertilize this egg, but the lucky one is this one here. So he gets to fertilize the egg. Both gametes must arrive at the same place with a certain time frame. So time, right place, and at the right time. So it can be internal, which is inside the female, or external, which is outside the female. So now, if you wanna view the video, you can just type this. Okay. So now, so we started from the gametes. Now, when the sperm is in union with the egg, now you have your fertilization. So that's the egg is fertilized now. A fertilized egg is what we call a zygote. So produced by fertilization. So you'll see here, male gamete, female gamete, and then when they are in union, you fertilize the egg. So when the sperm fertilize the egg, then you produce a zygote. So first cell of the new individual requires specific conditions in order to develop. So this is the critical phase because it requires certain condition in order for it to survive. Okay, it needs the nutrients, moisture, warmth, and protection in order to survive. Okay, now after that, we will now the cell division process starts, and you call it cleavage. Okay, so the cleavage here, you will see here that somehow the cell will start to divide, okay, containing the DNA information, and continue to divide until it becomes an embryo. So an embryo basically is a combination of many, 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 many cells, to create a life form. And in this case, so you will look at the picture, it's a fetus, right? So you have a multicellular organism now that will continue to develop still, right, inside the womb. Okay, for sexual reproduction in plants, you have the male and female gametes unite through fertilization to produce a zygote. So pretty much the same than an embryo. For most plants produce both male and female gametes, meaning in their structure, for let's say a certain flower, it has a male and female part. Now, for organisms that both have male and female gametes, they are called hermaphrodites. If you will be asking me, Mr. Chris, is it possible for humans to be hermaphrodite? Well, there are certain claims before. I remember when I was young, there's this guy who claims to have both male and female, reproductive organs. But the thing is, I think it's impossible for that person to be able to reproduce a baby on his own, right? Even if you have the structure, then maybe it's well, it's gonna be impossible for you to reproduce a baby um, on your own. Okay, so flower holds the main reproductive structure. So we'll look at the structure. So I'll be showing you the male and female part for the flower. So we'll start with stigma style, ovary, ovule. Collectively, they are referred to as pistil. The pistil is the female part of the flower. So notice the ovary here, right? Similar to like humans. So this is and this is how you will remember that pistil part is the female part. You have the petals, you have the anther, filament. Now anther and filament, when you combine them collectively, they are referred to as the stamen. Okay, so yeah, it's this part here. Okay, so this part. So you have the anther here and the filament, and then the anther will have the male gamete. Okay, so stamen consists of the anther and filament. So anther and then filament. Sperm is found in the pollen on anther. Okay, so you have the sperm here. Now, and then for the pistil, consists of stigma, style, and ovary. Ova are found in the ovary. Okay, so what is the process? When the pollen is transferred, so basically, these things here, if they will go to the ovary, that's what we call, that's what we refer to as transfer to the stigma, and that's what we refer to as the pollination process. So pollen travels down the style to the ovary, and then we know from our previous discussion, when the male gamete is in union with the female, then you have fertilization. uh, and in this case it will be a little different, because after fertilization you produce a seed, and this is very ideal for plants because somehow the seed protects, it serves as a protection, and also stores food, okay, for the future offspring. May stay dormant until suitable conditions are present. So it's waiting for, for the rainy season. It's waiting for a certain condition in order for it to start growing. Now, if you wanna watch a video, you can copy this, type it. Advantages of sexual reproduction: it provides a lot of variation. Offspring are different from each parent, which in a way, if you're different, then maybe one can adapt more to a given situation or environmental change, and then the other may not survive, but still chances of one surviving is higher than, both of them will have the same DNA, right? So variation is actually very, very important. So offspring are different from siblings. Okay, so you will see here they have the same shape, but varying colors. Slight difference maybe between this one and this one. This one is a little yellowish, this one is brownish, but still they are different. And maybe the way they adapt to their environment will be a little different too, which will help them and enable them to survive in that environment. Helps species survive changing environmental conditions. Okay. So it requires, well, the disadvantage of sexual reproduction is that it requires a lot of energy and time. Well, imagine you're trying to look for a mate, right? Um, like for lions, they need to kill the alpha male, the head of the pride, right? In order to mate with the female in that pride. So you need to find a mate. You need to produce specialized structures, so those sex organs, and then you have your gametes, so you need your gametes, and then the gametes need to the male gamete needs to have a way to meet the female. So you need to provide a way for those gametes to meet. Now after they meet, and when you have a fertilized egg, you need to protect and nurture the embryo too. So those are the things that maybe a little disadvantageous, uh, when you choose, like in sexual reproduction process, right? Can only produce limited number of offspring. I know, like elephants will be an pregnant elephant will carry the baby for like the embryo for 2 years before the mom will give birth to that baby. So imagine the amount of time to just give birth to one baby, right? So it will take so much time. That's why sexual reproduction takes a lot longer. Okay. Organisms that use both. So there are some organisms that uses both asexual and sexual. Plants both use sexual and asexual. So in terms of sexual, they will produce seeds. When it comes to asexual reproduction, they will use cuttings or bulbs, okay, in order to reproduce. Um, aphids or aphids can reproduce sexually, so they can produce a male. But females alone can produce female offspring without fertilization. So that is asexual. Sea sponges releases sperm into water, which are carried to egg cells. So basically, what they're doing is they're it's by chance, right? So hopefully the sperm cells will land on the egg cell and they will start to fertilize to produce more sea sponges, or budding. So like for this sea sponge, a small bud will form here, and eventually it will fall off to create a new, to start a new cycle. Okay, what is the advantage of being able to reproduce asexually or sexually? Well, you can those organisms can produce variation. Okay, so and there's a bigger chance of them surviving in changing environment. And if no mate is near, obviously they don't need to find a mate. If there's no mate available, then they can reproduce on their own, so they can still continue the species. And that's it.